create amongst ourselves is what we release and what we naturally, fruitfulness, give away to everybody that experiences us. So our unity and our intentionality is super important. And I'm going to talk, I'll share a little bit about evangelism right now. Like I actually love teaching about evangelism because it's really not, I don't feel like it's taught on properly, and I don't feel like there's a whole lot of permission or understanding on how each individual can walk fully you in the full expression of Christ in you, out on the street, not having to be in the Chris Over Street, evangelist box. Like for years I thought the Lord actually called me to evangelism in a powerful way, but for years I thought that can't be true because I'm not like Chris O. I'm an introvert. Like I actually prefer like reading my Bible over talking to people like 90% of the time. You know what I mean? Like I prefer to be alone and still and just, I told you guys last night, I'm more of like inclined to that place of mystic, and I need music to be anointed, so.
Here's Holy Spirit.
Whoa. See, you feel that? Whoa. Yeah. So I'll share actually probably a little bit at lunch with you guys, more practical detail stuff on evangelism, but I'll share a little bit on the heart. So Proverbs 28:1 says, "The righteous are bold as a lion."
Yeah.
And the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. So what's the defining character nature of the righteous is that they're so loved and accepted by God that they can't be rejected by man, so they're really bold.
Come on.
So loved, like what if, and this is a place that I'm growing in, that I'm like aiming at and I desire, I haven't arrived there yet, but what if I could be so accepted by God that I couldn't be rejected by man? That their rejection, persecution, their criticism, whatever, anything that, didn't go right or my way, just was water on a duck's back. Because I'm so rooted and grounded in that place of last night, of like communion, hearing God. I'm so loved by God, I can't be rejected by man. Take it down just a little bit. You guys ever seen Benny Hinn minister?
Yeah.
Reggie!
Get through all the keys, Benny. You can't go up anymore.
I love it. It is powerful. I thought it was hilarious, but it was anointed. Like it was genuinely like Holy Spirit was all over it. But I was I was like, oh my gosh, it's rolling on the ground. So, one thing that I really believe in is like the importance of risk. Like John Wimber said years ago, like faith is spelt risk. Risk is spelt faith. I can't remember. You guys know the thing. And like as I've developed in evangelism from 5-6 years ago, where the Lord would speak to me to go talk to somebody, and I would be so gripped and paralyzed with fear, disappointed in myself that I couldn't even do it. I was like paralyzed. Couldn't move because I'm disappointing God. I'm disappointing myself. This isn't what I want to be doing. But as I've developed and grown in the years, like fear it's a foreign thing to me now. When I'm ministering on the streets and I'm actually drawn to people that look intimidating. Wow. Because I've recognized that there's a spirit of intimidation, that people wear that thing. They wear a spirit of intimidation as a front, as a self-protective, but it's actually a cry for love.
Come on.
Like that spirit of intimidation that people wear around with them is actually their desire to be loved. It's really like deep down in it, and so I'm actually drawn to it now. Like groups of guys partying in their front yards. Maybe at lunch I'll tell you guys some stories. We'll share some testimonies at lunch. But I've kind of come to a place now where I'm like, kind of what I said at our first team meeting, I often can feel the pressure to minister, or it's like my responsibility, or it's like it feels like a big deal, or it's like a lot of emotional whatever to like ramp up and do ministry and go talk to people on the street, and that all melts away when our goal becomes love. When it's like, I'm just gonna get up, I'm gonna go out, and I'm gonna find one in front of me, and I'm just gonna love them well, and I don't know what's gonna happen, and I might look like an idiot, but it doesn't matter, because they are worth my love, and they're worth me looking maybe like an idiot for a few moments. In light of eternity, like, what if my 5 minutes of looking like an idiot changes the person's eternal trajectory? Like, we have that power. We have that responsibility even. We have that authority. How are they going to know if no one shares? Like, how are they going to hear this gospel if there's no preacher sent type deal? So, loving the one in front of you is a really big deal. Just showing up, it's so simple. Just show up. Take a little bit of risk, and God does all the rest. That's what I've seen over and over and over again, that every single time I just show up, I just get out there, and I take a little bit of risk, God is all over that business. He is all over it. So that's all I ask of you guys, is that you just show up, choose to turn your love on, take a little bit of risk. So that ministering out of that place of identity first, what if you ask yourself the question, what enables risk? What enables the lifestyle of risk? It's security and identity. It's you're secure on the inside, so like the outside, whatever comes doesn't quite touch you. It doesn't really matter, it doesn't really land. It's water in a duck's back. And that's a beautiful place to live out of.
So good.
So that's a little bit on evangelism, a little bit on risk. I had a season a couple years ago. I was leading up to a trip. I'm like stepping out in words of knowledge the month before the trip. I'm like, God, I really want to grow in words of knowledge. By the way, that's something you guys are really going to receive. Is I have gone after words of knowledge in a profound way for the last 4 or 5 years. Specifically for healing, specifically in the prophetic, it says, 1 Corinthians 14, that prophecy is for the unbeliever, so that the secrets of their hearts would be laid bare and exposed, so that they would fall on their face crying, knowing there is a God. That's the biblical standard of the prophetic. So let's not be discouraged that we're not quite there yet, because that's easy to get to, but let's have that and keep that as the standard of where we're going, that prophecy is actually for the unbeliever. That the word of knowledge is, like Sean Bull says, you have a word of knowledge where you get someone's birthday, which we've had, where you get someone's name, which we've had, where you get someone's exact location of their pain or wherever. It's like 4 years of friendship immediately. 4 years of trust, friendship developed in an instant.
Wow.
And so it's accelerated family. If you use prophecy, that's really powerful. I've never said that before. But if you use prophecy and the word of knowledge and giftedness and that in a right heart of genuinely loving people, because you could have the gift of prophecy and move mountains in faith, but it can be nothing if it's love, if it's not love. So if love is anointing or driving our gift and is the fuel on our gas tank, then we can move into that place of 4 years of friendship developed in rapport with a person in a moment on a street corner, which is my favorite thing. And all of a sudden at that point, you don't got to convince anyone of the gospel. You don't have to ask someone or beg someone to listen to you share about what Jesus has done for you. They're asking, they're hungry. You awakened something inside of them where they tasted of the supernatural realm that they know nothing of. And they're begging you. You awakened hunger. So the supernatural, the prophetic, the word of knowledge, it awakens people's spirits. It wakes them up to oh my gosh, this is what I've been starving for my whole life. This is the real deal. This is what I'm looking for. So, I am really passionate about the supernatural. I'm really passionate about the word of knowledge. Really passionate about just showing up, taking a little bit of risk. And I get tons of words of knowledge wrong, but I get a lot right because I step out. You know what I mean? I get tons wrong. On the way here, I got 5 words of knowledge wrong on the road trip. And the funny thing is about words of knowledge are great to open the door and start a conversation with people.
Yeah.
People aren't expecting you to be right about their lives. They're like, oh, that was a little bit weird. He asked me about my right shoulder. And then you immediately go into, hey, well, I just want to pray for you, man. Is there anything you need prayer for? Do you need healing in your body? I get words of knowledge wrong all the time that open up into a conversation that ends up being a whole different miracle, and people end up being saved. I get them wrong all the time. Words of knowledge open a door.
Yeah.
And when you get it wrong, people aren't expecting you to get it right, so they don't even think you failed. You think you failed.
Yeah.
That's so true.
You think you do, and you get discouraged, but in reality, they're like, oh, like I have no idea what they're doing. That's kind of weird. But so you just flow with it. And I explain to people what the heck I'm doing. I'll be like, yeah, so I get spiritual senses and impressions in my body of where people need healing in their body. People are fascinated by the supernatural. So I'll literally, please do this. Please explain what the heck you're doing. Don't feel like you have to not talk about it. Talk about the supernatural. Say, I'm developing in a spiritual gift of healing.
Wow.
Say that. Say I'm developing in, like, picking up on what, like, I love making wrong things right. My God is the God of healing. Talk in that language, people receive that.
Yeah.
And walk them through your process. Learn, like, bring them in and learn with them, because it's like, it develops trust. They're like, oh, this person's genuine. They're genuine.
Yeah.
They're wanting to learn.
Yeah.
They are in a place of like, oh, I'm just learning how to hear God, or this person wants to heal me. That's weird, but kind of cool. And I mean, like, let's do it. And when you come out of that place of rapport and trust and explaining what the heck you're doing, I don't even feel like I can explain it that well, but people are like, yeah, all the time. Yeah, let's do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
So I can go into that some more, but I want to touch really quick on family, and then one other thing. Family does two things really well. Family does a lot of things really well, but one of those things is family celebrates really well. Celebration and honor really go hand in hand. Honoring who people are without stumbling over who they're not. So one of the things I like to create amongst teams is we love to, like, interrupt meals and interrupt conversations, and when we're walking, we'll, like, brag on something that we'll just, we'll say, Michaela, like, I love how the simplicity of her love. Like, I love how she is so present and courageously who she is. I love how she chose to come on a trip that is new for her, that is stretching her, where she's developing. I love the courage, Michaela's courage, choosing to develop community and step out, and whatever that looks like. I love Jenai's ability to gather people to herself and create safety around people. Like, we just interrupt conversations and interrupt things, and we brag on people and celebrate.
Yeah.
We celebrate them.
So good.
And that's contagious, man.
Yeah, that's good.
That changes atmospheres, and it sets the tone for stuff that's in a really powerful way. So I encourage us to do that. So that's one thing family does well. The other thing is family covers each other in weakness and in strength.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love about these trips is that there is zero room or permission for isolation. There is no good reason whatsoever for you to be isolated or feel like you are, stay with me, zero permission, zero, like, there's just no good reason for any of us to be isolated or alone. So if you're feeling like you need to work through something, the problem is, oftentimes when we're working through something and we don't have the answer, and you go to someone with it, you go to a leader, they think, or maybe you go to a student, they think they need to fix it right away for you, and that's awkward because they don't know how, but what everybody knows how to do is like, hey, I'm with you, I'm standing with you, you're not alone. Let's not, like, choose not to be alone in this. Would you stand with me until maybe my breakthrough's a year away, maybe it's tomorrow, I don't care, I'm not giving up, I'm standing with you.
Yeah. So good.
Good.
So when we can just simply, if you're working through something, come to a leader, go to somebody you trust, and not that they have to fix it, but just so you have community, not to be alone, not to be isolated. The enemy loves isolation, loves putting us on our own. It literally says in the Gospels that demons drove these certain men to solitary places where they cut themselves with stones. Like, I'd like to propose to you that isolation is directly demonic in nature. Is entirely demonic in nature. So, don't isolate. It's your choice. Please be powerful. Come and talk, and just, maybe you don't need someone to fix you, but maybe you just need someone to stand with you and say, like, I'm with you. I'm standing with you. That's a powerful place. So family does that well. And last night, I was laying in bed, and I had a demonic experience where the enemy can actually sometimes come. I know David Hogan talks about this specifically quite a bit, where, like, in his experience with spiritual warfare, like, when an evil spirit is present, really not into, like, focusing on the devil or really talking about him a whole lot, but this was, I feel like this needs to be said. When an evil spirit is present, it can actually manipulate emotion. And so you'll pick up and discern the emotion of that thing that's in the room or in the proximity or wants to influence you. So I'm laying in bed last night, having, like, the fire of everything that God released. The devil was scared. I felt, a couple years ago, I felt a principality. I was on a Halloween ministry trip to Ivy. I felt a principality step into my shed. This is the most powerful, like, clear demonic experience I've actually maybe ever had. Like, apart from actual deliverance and, like, casting stuff out. But I felt a principality step into my room, my bunk. I'm like, okay. The second it does, I feel an angel, like, this explosion of light shattered the thing and it was gone. It was like the most unique experience. The sad part is two of my leaders that night didn't sleep because they had demonic stuff going on. So that thing left me and ended up going and trying to get another door in somewhere else. And so I've learned to pray, like, okay, let's pray and cover and make sure that doesn't happen again. But last night, there was kind of a little bit of a similar thing. And I'm laying in bed, and I can hear this thing whispering in my ear, I'm going to give you back pain. I'm going to, like, put a knife in your lower back, and I'm going to, like, give this thing to you. And I'm like, huh. And I'm feeling all of this fear and all this stuff, and I'm like, this is so not me right now. And the devil is so scared. And I'm, like, laying in bed, and I just start worshiping Jesus and thanking him, and, you know, I end up just falling asleep and kind of ignoring it because it's not worth my time, you know? And then I end up having pretty jacked up dreams all night last night. Sexual dreams, weird dreams. And that's just, like, oftentimes when you get opposition like that, it's the enemy tipping his hand that he is nothing. He's revealing his cards that he has nothing, and he's scared. Like, fear in your life is actually a prophetic word from the enemy that you're on the right track. Like, he's revealing his hand. So I had dreams all last night, messed up, didn't super enjoy them, but with demonic dreams, you just flip it, and you get God's plan. You get the kingdom, right? So demonic dreams are actually really fun a lot of the time because there's redemptive nature in them. And so I kind of heard Wes told me, he was like, yeah, there's been a bunch of the team that kind of had weird dreams or had kind of a weird sleep. So just to let you know that is normal, that there's nothing wrong, that you were stepping in and establishing spiritual authority in the land. And it was discernment. You're discerning the principalities and powers, the ruling authorities, if you will, that are present here, and we're gonna see them bow. Because Jesus is king, and they're already bowing.
Jesus is king.
You know, but there's more. Come on. There's more. There's more breakthrough. So specifically, because I got whacked with sexual stuff last night, men, you have a profound opportunity and responsibility this week to release unconditional love. Like I said last night, I've held women that are on these streets so many times that are like dressed in nothing, so searching for love, that you come alongside and you prove with your love that you don't want anything from them, that you affirm them, that you love them, and you shatter that regional sexual exploitation spirit that says that women are only worth what they can give and they're only worth what they're wearing and how much is exposed, and you break that thing, you shatter it. So men and women have a profound responsibility and call to be able to be there. Women need a safe man to experience. So I'm really attracted to women that are really attracted to women that are hurting like that. That you can see it all over them, and I'm drawn to them because I have exactly what they need.
Yeah.
And so do you guys. So don't fear it. Don't sidestep it. Don't wonder. Just be confident in your son, in your ability as a loving son. As a daughter, Rainey has last year. She pioneered this thing of affirming women. She'd walk up to women and they would weep, break out bawling, and have crazy encounters because she'd walk up and say, "You're so beautiful. I love this about you and this about you." This is a culture of comparison where women just don't do that. So women, you are also very powerful in that. And the last thing I'll say about for you guys as women, men will probably hit on you. You're beautiful.
Yeah, you are.
You take it as a compliment, use it as leverage for the gospel. Seriously, it really, really does. It really does. You gotta remember, our battle isn't against flesh and blood. Don't take this personally. These men, they're empty cups. They have nothing to give. They don't know what they're doing. If they knew who you were or who they were, they wouldn't be treating you that way. So let's understand that they don't understand and be loved.
So good.
Can I just say something really quick? It'll be short. I think one thing is what I started realizing, Abby Stoneball had mentioned it, like when a man is attracted to you, realize you're carrying the kingdom of heaven inside of you, and sometimes they're so drawn to what's on your life that they can't separate it because they never have. So just realize they're actually just really hungry for the Lord. So take it as a sign that, hey, they actually just want Jesus, and that's why they're drawn to you. So.
That's good. So women, you have leverage in your beauty. Act seriously. God made you guys beautiful so that you could reveal a facet of His nature to mankind that men can't necessarily do. So your beauty is powerful. Your beauty it's anointed. It's from the Lord. So I encourage you guys to use that as don't be afraid of it. Don't be like, just mess around, have fun. Just I encourage you to, like, if guys come up and start talking to you, bait them. Talk with them, reel them in a little bit. Seriously, you know what I mean?
Wise with that at the same time. Please.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Otherwise you're gonna have to have someone come and save you. Okay.
Yes.
That's real. So, don't take what I'm saying too far. Ashley will fix it. But no, but seriously, just don't. What I'm really saying is, don't be afraid of using your beauty for the sake of communicating the gospel and communicating your story and who Jesus really is. Use it. It's powerful. So, let's go into worship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Come on.
All right. So take us away, guys. Thank you, Father.